but instruction was not offered. Taxiing his airplane around the field, Anderson would periodically gun the engine, eventually finding himself aloft. With growing confidence, it was not long before the fledgling pilot taught himself to take off and land safely. One club member and experienced pilot, Russell Thaw, had no airplane, but sought to visit his mother on weekends in Atlantic City. A bargain was struck. Thaw would rent and fly Anderson's monocoque, and Anderson would come along, gaining valuable cross-country experience. Thus was Anderson able to earn his pilot's license in August 1929. Seeking to obtain an air transport pilot's license, but again finding race an obstacle, help finally came from Ernest Buell, the Flying Dutchman, a German aviator who had been invited to come to the United States in 1920 to help open transcontinental airmail routes. Under Buell's tutelage and personal insistence, in February 1932, Anderson became the first African-American to receive an air transport pilot's license from the Civil Aeronautics Administration. That same year, Anderson married his childhood sweetheart, Gertrude Nelson of Ardmore, Pennsylvania, on June 24th. The Andersons would eventually have two sons, Alfred and Charles. In July 1933, Anderson met Dr. Albert E. Forsyth, a black physician and pilot who shared his goal of introducing fellow blacks to the field of aviation. Record-setting and attention-getting flights proved effective. Among these was the pair's first transcontinental round-trip flight by black pilots from Atlantic City, New Jersey to Los Angeles, California. The duo made additional first flights for blacks to Canada and throughout the United States, capturing worldwide attention in the summer of 1934 when they flew their new Lambert monocoque, christened the Booker T. Washington, on a Pan-American Goodwill tour. By September 1938, Anderson was instructing in the Washington, D.C. area, where, while operating a Piper Club, he was hired as a flight instructor for the civilian pilot training program at Howard University. In 1940, Anderson was recruited by the Tuskegee Institute in Alabama to serve as the chief civilian flight instructor for its new program to train black pilots. He developed a pilot training program, taught the program's first advanced course, and earned his nickname, Chief. In March 1941, First Lady Eleanor Roosevelt was touring the Institute's hospital. Knowing of the flight program, she asked to meet its chief instructor. The First Lady told Anderson she had always heard that colored people couldn't fly, but it appeared that he could. "I'm just going to have to take a flight with you," she said. Anderson was not about to turn down the First Lady despite the protests of her security detail. Upon returning 40 minutes later, Anderson's delighted passenger exclaimed, "Well, I see you can fly all right." No doubt her experience was a boost to President Roosevelt's administration, which had just established the Tuskegee experiment to explore if it was possible to train black pilots for military service. By June 1941, Anderson was selected by the Army as Tuskegee's ground commander and chief instructor for aviation cadets of the 99th Pursuit Squadron, America's first all-black fighter squadron. The 99th would eventually join three other squadrons of Tuskegee Airmen in the 332nd Fighter Group, known as the Red Tails. The 450 Tuskegee Airmen who saw combat flew 1,378 combat missions, destroyed 260 enemy planes, and earned over 150 distinguished flying crosses, among numerous other honors. Anderson's post-war contributions to aviation continued at Moton Field, providing ground and flight training to both black and white students under the GI Bill, and in 1951, training Army and Air Force ROTC cadets along with private students. He also provided aircraft and engine maintenance and sold aircraft in the southeast and southwestern U.S. In 1967, Anderson co-founded Negro Airmen International, including the establishment of a summer flight academy for youth interested in aviation, and he continued to instruct students until 1989. Failing health finally grounded Anderson in the mid-1990s. He died peacefully in his sleep on April 13, 1996, in Tuskegee, Alabama. Anderson never sought fame, recognition, or fortune for his accomplishments. Yet he touched the lives of thousands of pilots, both civilian and military, many of whose names are found throughout aviation history books. Tonight, it is our honor and privilege to welcome into the National Aviation Hall of Fame the father of African American aviation and a mentor of mentors, C. Alfred Chief Anderson.